Is my corn actually growing inside of these husks, or do I just have really tall stalks? I don't know, but let's find out. I have been so excited to grow corn this season, but I'm noticing that my ears look a little bit small, so I'm wondering what's actually gonna happen when I open up these husks and take a look inside, because it's my first time growing them, y'all, just to be honest. I'm not looking for perfection, but I'm definitely looking to eat. Before I go ahead and open these up, here's what I've already noticed about my corn. So I already have tassel development. So these long, kind of like sandy brownish structures that shoot off into the sky, these are called the tassels. And this is the male reproductive part. I also have silks, and this is the female reproductive part on my corn. But at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm gonna get great corn, right? A lot has to go on between the silks, between the tassels, to make sure that everything gets fertilized. Okay, so what has to happen is the pollen that's in the tassel has to break off via wind pollination and travel all the way down here and land on the silks. Each one of these silks is directly tied to one kernel of corn, y'all. Crazy, right? When the pollen travels down, it actually has to fertilize the ovules, and the ovules are actually on the corn cob. When this happens, the silk turns kind of like a dark brown, and it shrivels up and it gets a little bit dry. The good news is that looking around my bed, fertilization has happened. So if you look right here, the silk is brown and crispy. That means this one's fertilized, these two. So all around my bed, y'all, I basically have fertilization happening. And of course, the other sign that fertilization has happened is if you see bulky ears forming. So obviously I have that. I would say this is probably my bulkiest ear. This is where the corn actually forms. What I'm gonna do to check these, I'm gonna pull back the husk, and then I'm gonna take my fingernail and I'm gonna puncture one of the kernels. And what I'm looking to see at this stage is if the liquid comes out milky from the kernel, then that means that basically my corn is still maturing and I just need to give it a little bit more time. If the liquid is more of like a doughy consistency, that means we're getting closer to the mature stage, but we're not quite there yet. And if I puncture one of these kernels and pretty much little to no liquid comes out, but the kernel is like firm and it has that crispy dent in it, that means the corn is mature and it's basically ready to harvest and eat. The tassels and the silks on my corn developed probably like 3 weeks ago. So I feel like this is the perfect time to go ahead and open these up and just kind of see what I'm working with. Oh my goodness, I see it. I see the little kernels peeking through, so cute. Oh, I guess I'm not, I'm not that bad of a gardener. Did something right. Okay, let's see. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is great, but it's also kind of funny. Apparently, I don't know if these kernels are still forming. They're really small. They're kind of white. So I don't know what's going on there. This corn is like, I'm not going to say deformed, but it is definitely not what I'm used to seeing at the grocery store, which is fine. Like I said before, we're not going for perfection, but my goodness, that looks very interesting. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the nail test and just see what the liquid looks like. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Okay, so this is milky, not ready yet, which I guess that makes sense. I mean, looking at this, I'm definitely at the milky stage, which means that, you know, development is happening, but we're not quite where we want to be yet. What I got right now, y'all, I ain't mad at it. I kind of wanted to just show y'all the underside. Okay. So I think the funniest thing about this is this corn is probably going to be a little bit deformed, right? So remember when I told y'all what I'm mostly looking to see is that I have a lot of kernels. Well, it looks like I might have a whole row missing from some of my corns, which is okay, y'all. I'm still gonna eat it, but like, it's just kind of funny to see. I'm not gonna leave this exposed, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up and just put a rubber band on it and hope that that's gonna be okay for it to keep developing. Because dang, look at him. I want this little corn to keep growing. I'm already noticing some things that I would probably do differently next time. I think the number one thing is to implement better spacing. Right now, everything looks pretty crowded, and the reason for that is when I planted these, I followed the planting instructions like 50% of the way. The packet said basically to plant 3 kernels to a hole, which I did that, but the part that I didn't do was thin these back and leave only the strongest 1 or 2 stalks. The reason I didn't do this, y'all, is because, well, when everything came out of the ground and even probably halfway into the growing season for my corn, the stalks looked strong. And so I said, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now I'm kind of realizing that that might have been a mistake. The more I've been researching, I'm learning that if I actually had have just left the strongest stalk, I probably would have gotten bigger ears of corn because they would have had more space to just focus on like growing those kernels and getting those nutrients. I feel like I might have a bit of a nutrient competition issue. The second thing I would do differently is pollinate way better than I did. When these tassels here first showed up, I shook these stalks and I watched all of the pollen kind of fall down so that they could get on the silks, right? So that part I did research and I did do that, but I didn't realize that I could take this a step further by actually removing the pollen from these tassels, collecting it, and then rubbing it directly on these silks, right? Basically to make sure that I get 100% pollination. But one of y'all commented that you had a cousin that grew corn and she didn't, or he didn't thin back the stalks, right, to keep the strongest one, and they didn't get any corn at all. So prior to filming this video, I was actually really scared to open up the husks because I was like, dang, I don't know if I did everything wrong and I'm not gonna see any kernels at all. So I thought that was a really interesting story. So if y'all have any other stories or experiences growing corn, please drop them below in the comments. I'd be really excited to hear about them just to gain more knowledge and understanding. Until then, happy gardening.